see all of our guests with us this evening. Madam Superintendent, do we have any changes, amendments, additions, or deletions?
We do. First of all, I'm pulling item 8.08 for no action this evening. We'll be bringing that back hopefully at the next meeting. The agenda was revised on February 22nd to change the presenter name in item 601, the fiscal impact updates to items 903 and 1102, and the addition of item 1007. The HR personnel addendum was added to the agenda today, and the board was provided a copy and a revised HR list. Item 10.07 had the fiscal impact decreased, and the board has the revised item as well. Also, I don't know if you would like to acknowledge that we have several public input cards. We have one specific to item 9.03, so we'll be pulling that one for discussion, as well as item
Matt?
1102, which is already under discussion, so we'll bring those up at that time.
Okay. Board members, any additions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we need to approve the minutes from our February 12th, 2024 meeting.
I recommend approval of the minutes from the regular school board meeting, February 12th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Mathias and second by Mr. Dodd. All those in favor, let it be known by a usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. At this time, we have no representation items, so we'll start with our public input. Mr. Banks?
Banks, Helfrich, 9100 Sam's Lake Road, Claremont, Florida, Clay Road District, independent farmer, and candidate for State House District 25. Madam Superintendent, Madam Chair, Board, distinguished guests, I'd like to talk about farmers because actually I am a farmer. So what do farmers do? Farmers give us air to breathe. They shade us in the cold months. They also give us food. What can we do as a community to help them? 5 things. 1, specifically on a statewide level, open up Port Miami and Port Everglades so that agriculture products can be exported and imported easily instead of going up to Savannah for that. 2, legal foreign workers, treat them with respect. They are here as guests in our country, working for us, picking the tomatoes and picking the food that we eat. 3, we can make sure that legal foreign workers live on premises, so advocate so that they can stay on premises. This cuts down as far as transportation and it increases their safety. 4, regenerative farming practices, allowing farmers to farm, taking away the constrictions that they have put on them, allowing them to have composting and organic matter to stay on premises. And the last, which is a kind of a nationwide thing, and that is the right to fix their own equipment. So I am a farmer. That's why I like to talk about farmers. I have a sustainable farm, 7 acres. It's called Here on the Farm. I open the farm to the community, to students, teachers, anybody. These events are to bring community out to the farm. Some of them are, in fact, just this weekend we had Spring Gardening 101, how to start your own garden, what to grow, when to grow, how to grow it, and how to maintain it. We have other events, farm tours every single month, second Sunday of every month. We have yoga on the farm. We have Tai Chi on the farm. If you like philosophy, we have philosophy and drum circle on the farm. We will have a sugarcane harvest. By all means, come and I'll show you how to grow your own sugarcane. We will press it and we will actually get to drink some sugarcane too. So these events can all be found on Eventbrite under Here on the Farm, Claremont, Florida, not Claremont, France. Madam Board member, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. My name is Banks Helfrich, independent farmer, and I'm here speaking on behalf of and in support of farmers because not only am I one, I know the importance farmers bring to our economy and to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Under representation tonight, we are very happy to have, and I guess we're introducing, Avery. She is the Vice Chairman of the Superintendent's Advisory Student Council. Welcome.
Thank you, Superintendent, Chair, board members, and
everyone else in attendance tonight. Again, my name is Avery Hooper, and I am the co-chairman of the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee and Student Government Executive President at Eustis High School. I am here in front of you tonight to recap the recent Lake County Student Government Conference held at Eustis High School on February 17th, 2024. This conference welcomed student government members from all Lake County high schools and focused on promoting and applying skills one gains in student government. These skills include leadership, communication, delegation, and marketing. I want to formally thank my fellow SSAC members for running the workshops that taught such skills. I also want to especially thank Superintendent Cornegie for providing lunch at this conference for 250-plus kids. And I also want to thank NV Mowing and Lawn Services for providing breakfast for all these kids. Additionally, at this conference, the Lake County Student Government Scholarship was awarded to 2 students. Each student was awarded $500, which I want to thank Mr. Matthias for his generous donations of $1,000 to provide this scholarship. I also want to thank the Ed Foundation for helping choose these 2 exceptional students awarded this scholarship. These 2 students were Jillian Tujunski from Lake Minneola High School and Soraya Williams from Eustis High School. These 2 students were chosen not only for their academic merits, but also their commitment to community service and the upholding of the pillars of SGA. I would like to thank Mr. Korn Nguyen, the owner of Duckman Mechanical AC Services, for speaking at this event on how he used the skills he gained at SGA in his high school years to create his own business and be a community leader. Again, thank you all who contributed to this conference, and we at Eustis High School were honored to host for such an amazing group of students. The SSAC will be meeting again March 4th to discuss plans for next year's incoming council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cole, attorney's report? Thank you. We have no unfinished business. Madam Superintendent, would you give us a recommendation for the consent agenda?
I recommend approval of consent agenda items 8.01 to 8.07, 8.09 to 9.02, and 10.01 to 10.07.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Matthias and second by Mr. Brandyberg. All those in favor, let it be known by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, 5-0. New business. We're on our discussion. We are now ready for discussion. I'm sorry, 9.03 was pulled, and we have a card. Mrs. Smith?
Good evening, everyone. How's
Good
everybody?
evening.
First of all, just want to thank everyone for the continued support to ensure educators' voices included, like on the allocation committee. Everything impacts our students. We appreciate the positive changes to increase the school counselors and literacy coaches in the elementary, along with the focus on increasing support for our ESE classrooms. Unfortunately, of course, we still have work to do, and hopefully we can still work together on some other items that were discussed, like testing, numbers in our enrichment classes that keep rising, it seems like, support for reducing class size. Added numbers may increase to the class size, which may also possibly increase student behaviors, which of course decrease student engagement and increases student discipline. We understand there's barriers. There's always barriers, always funding issues, always something. However, we also know how important class size is to the success of our students. It's imperative that we continue to reduce the instructional staff per student ratio. This needs to be a priority to ensure that every student receives the support they deserve, and our educators' workload allows for teachers to give their very best to our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Kathy as well as all the members of our allocation committee. Their names are all listed in the document that's provided on board docs. It is a lot of work, a lot of thoughtful work as they come together with differing priorities and how they are able just to come together and build consensus around what's best for kids. So I want to thank them for that. And I just want to make sure that if you're looking at the allocation document, it is one piece of a very big puzzle as we think about allocations and we think about the funding that she mentioned. One of the things that we are waiting for as we think about some of the priorities, and I know that as each of us have had a chance as individual board members to meet with staff to look at the allocation document, you too have established some priorities, and your priorities I mentioned because they're the same that Kathy mentioned, which is enrichments, making sure that those are manageable numbers, as well as the testing support. That's a heavy load that falls on school staff. And so I know that those are things that we're looking at as we wait for this legislative session to end. We're still waiting. We've seen both the House and the Senate budgets, but we know that that's not a done deal until the end of the session, which is March the 8th. Right now, on the Senate side, there is some additional funding in our SAI, which supplemental academic instructional funding. They changed the name. I think I'm trying to combine them all. Hopefully that money will come in a larger sum this year that we'll be able to then go back and reprioritize some of these things. So I know we're kind of waiting for the rest of the pieces to fall into place once we know what the final budget is. We've also looked at the existing SAI funds as well as federal dollars to reprioritize some of those as well to make sure that the monies are going back to meet the needs of our students as well as our teachers. We are looking at the increasing basic allocations at schools and the growing population. So a lot of things still in the work, but at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that all of our kids have a great teacher in front of them and that they have all of the extra opportunities as well as our faculty and staff having all the supports that they need. So again, thank you to the committee for their hard work on that. And with that, I will recommend approval of item 9.03, the personnel allocation formula.
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and properly second. Motion by Mr. Mathias, second by Mrs. Luke. All those in favor, let it be known by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, 5-0. 1102 was also pulled. Michael Watkins.
Good evening. I heard about the review committee that meets in Highway to go over the various different publishers that would be presenting their material for us to choose as books for the upcoming year. And I went online, signed up, and got a call, and the person was very nice, gave me all the information, times I need to meet. We met about 3 or 4 times altogether. One day was a full day. The staff there were courteous and kind. The teachers had a lot of zeal, and they seemed like they really wanted to make it, choose the best books for our kids. Because I don't have a kid in school, I couldn't vote, but I was able to give comments. Everything in the process was good to me. It really was. Except on each one of the times we met, I asked about African American studies or African American studies being maybe put in with the American history, and no one never had an answer. No one never could give me an answer. And so I know it was at least 4 times we met, and each time I left there saying, well, what are we going to do? Because I just don't think it's fair to any of us that all of history is not told. And so I'm presenting to you all, what are we going to do about the African American history that needs to be put in American history and taught? There was teachers said, hey, we do our very best to share as much as we can, but we don't have a curriculum for that. And I think it's just a disjustice that we don't have it in there, taught the way it is, and have good teachers that can teach it. The ones that I met seemed like they very much wanted to. But once again, each time, no one had an answer or when it's going to be implemented in our schools. So I'm kind of looking at y'all saying, what are we going to do at some point?
Thank you.
I know I'm one person, but there's a lot of people concerned about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vance Yocum.
Vance Yoakum, 12619 Milwaukee. I was going to talk about another issue, but it's going to be covered in a coming workshop, so I'm not going to talk about that. What I'd like to talk about is this item covers the review of textbooks. Now, I know that they can only review state-approved textbooks, and so that's one reason why maybe they have few choices in what they have available. And he introduced an issue that has just come up worldwide, and that's that Google rolled out a new AI application called Gemini. I don't know whether the news that you watch covered it, but it's all over the world on conservative websites because Google set it up so that whenever you go and ask for a historical figure, they'd show them in blackface. And I'm serious. There's some news shows and everything. I will get links and I will send those articles to you. But Google has gone woke, in my opinion. And so what they did is they even had George Washington, our president, in blackface. They had a number of other historical figures, a German soldier during World War II, blackface, and others. They also had Indians and they had Asians, but they basically were trying to eliminate whites from the image database of any time you did a search for an image on something. I mean, it was really bad, and there's a lot of examples out there. It's being discussed in the UK news. They're laughing at us and Google. And so after listening to that, I thought one is that you probably need a plan to be able to determine whether you want Google Chromebooks here with that kind of approach. They're going to put it in those systems, and they're going to indoctrinate your students. Now, I know that maybe I don't have the power. I'd like to have the power to say stop that. But even Congress has hearings, and they don't stop that. And so as a consequence, what I'd like to do is just request that the academic department and the teachers be asked to provide alternate news sources for anything that they see in the textbook. In other words, a picture of a real George Washington. And so I've got some books here just because I'm a conservative, I'll just say that. But we got, and the original one, if you can put the overhead projector on. There we go. There's the original. That's COVID-19. That guy described the whole thing, actually, how to do that. That's way before Bill Gates. But then we have Rules for Radicals. That's the book that was used by Obama for creating his election campaign. But then we do have an alternate. It's Rules for Radicals Defeated. And so what I'm pointing out is that there are alternate sources that give you something. Here's a book that I'm going through right now, 48 Liberal Lies About History. This historian that wrote this book, and this is like back in the 1990s, he did amazing research. He is citing everybody. And maybe as educators, you may know Howard Zinn, who created a world history book that was reviled by many critics. And I think it's kind of disappeared. I actually have a copy at home. And there are books that criticize and analyze that. But when you have somebody that's using books, there's how the Democrats won Colorado. The political discussion, because when you say that when the students are taught, we should just go with whatever's, like Colorado won, so the people that won there must be okay. Here's one of my favorites. I bring this occasionally, How to Lie with Statistics. I haven't seen anything here, but there certainly are some issues in government. And when, say, you have economics classes and they show certain statistics, and the UK is going through this now, the alternate side or viewpoint should be brought up. I'm not going to show you that one. This one is Trevor Loudon. He's been to a lot of local groups here. I saw him just 2 weeks ago. He clearly goes through with history and talks about the communists are in the federal government. If you have classes related to history and social studies and it's in the book one way, then I would encourage you and as teachers to provide an alternate. I'm not going to give up saying, poof, you can't talk about that. But instead, provide the other source. And here's one, that's 100 People Who Are Screwing Up America, and that's Bernard Goldberg. That's an old book. But I happen to have a library of a lot of what some people would say are radical books, but they're an alternate, and that's what I look for, is I like to know about alternate viewpoints. And so I would encourage you and the academic staff to, when they have something they put together, I don't know, are you still using the term blueprints? The outline of the courses that you're going to have, that they have alternate sources. I mean, if it's up to me, I'd say because of this huge pressure to push those things one way and bias, that I think that you need to have some counterpoint, and maybe even a committee that says that. And with that, thanks for the great evening.
Thank you. We need to, Madam Superintendent.
I recommend approval of the instructional materials recommendations, item 11.02.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second. Motion by Mr. Mathias, second by Mr. Dodd. All those in favor, let
Oh,
it.
hold on. I just had a question, because we had a public input conversation there about the African-American inclusion in studies and so on and so forth. I believe there are a number of standards that address that, and I was wondering, are those addressed in these particular books? I mean, obviously, Black history occurs beyond the scope of February, right? And so,
Right, if you go back to the standards alignment and the percent showing the relationship with the standards, and one of the things that I've had an opportunity to do was meet with Pastor Watkins and go over the alignment to the standards. So those that were in the original African-American history course, and showing those standards that are now in the U.S. history course, to show that those standards, while they were a standalone class, are now embedded within that course. So any materials that they would be looking at would be in alignment to those standards as well. And I see all the nodding over there.
see it too.
So those standards are in there, and I'm happy to provide another copy of that. It's been a while since you and I spoke about those, but certainly to be able to ensure you that the alignment to the standards is there.
all right,
So thank you
excellent.
for mentioning that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay. Are we ready to vote? It has been motioned and properly second. All those in favor, let it be known by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Okay, we need to go back to 11.01.
And that's a public hearing.
Yes, ma'am, we've got a public hearing item. The item before the board is the final approval of the amendment to the 2023-2024 Code of Student Conduct and Policy Guide. At this time, I open the meeting to the public and ask if there is any public business. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing.
Thank you. Madam Superintendent.
I recommend final approval of the amendment to the 2023-2024 Code of Student Conduct and Policy Guide.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Mr. Mathias and second by Mr. Brandenburg. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor, let it be known by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Superintendent's report.
All right, well, since our last meeting, there were 2 letters of condolence sent, first of all, to Russell Presley, who was a teacher at Leesburg High School, in the loss of his mother, Claire Presley. Also to the family of Robin Peacock, who's a former teacher assistant at Grassy Lake Elementary School. So condolences to those families. We saw the press release today, and the board was informed about the credit rating, and we've been upgraded to an A-plus district. So I want to just thank the board for your very prudent budgetary practices, and to Mr. Ward for his outstanding leadership that gained us that increased rating and ensures our even longer-term financial stability. Also, I want to congratulate all the participants in our recent Science and Engineering Fair, and best of luck to those who are now moving on to the state level. The projects get very creative, as I know many of y'all were able to be there that day to see the impressive projects, and so we're just so proud of the students as well as all of the adults who just surround them, from their parents and as well as our staff and our teachers who support these amazing students. So congratulations to them. And just a quick reminder that the deadline to participate in the 2024 stakeholder survey is this Wednesday. So if you haven't taken the survey, we encourage you to do so. You can do that by finding the link on your school or the district website. And just a reminder to the board that we do have a workshop coming up on March the 6th at 9:30. Where we will talk about our auditor and our internal audit committee, as well as our procurement process. So I know that's on your calendar.
Thank you. Mr. Mathias?
I just want to dovetail because the only thing I had was to speak out about our A-plus credit rating. When I came on the board, we were $438 million in debt. Today, it's down to $120 million. Is Scott there? Close enough. $120 million. This board, with the leadership of Scott and our superintendent, the pay-as-you-go and really intense focus on there are things that you need and things that you want, and things that you want can sometimes wait until you have the cash. And that's been the spirit of this board, and I'm very proud that we are now in the fiscal stability standpoint that those interest dollars we were paying are going back in the classroom. So that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Luke?
I just was checking my calendar because you said March 6th. March 7th is Rocket Day for Umatilla Elementary School, so I had to whew. So I figured I would do a plug for that. So March 7th is Rocket Day at Umatilla Elementary School, and that event has really changed over the last several years, from when I had a fifth grader who is now a senior to having a fifth grader now. They build their own 3D rockets. So I don't know if you guys knew that, but they use their 3D printer and they create their own rockets, and then they actually launch them on Rocket Day. So if you haven't been, I know that the district staff and distinguished guests are invited. It's definitely a sight to see, and I'll be there supporting my favorite fifth grader in Lake County. And on that same note, Mr. Straight is the STEAM teacher at Umatilla Elementary School, and you mentioned science fair. So I know there are many others like him across the district that are just amazing in the work that they do with students at the school level. I think the CIA department does a phenomenal job with that event every year. I know how much time goes into it, how much effort and work and above and beyond you do for that, for the students. And I know, again, my favorite fifth grader came home super excited about the event and his participation in it. So we're very grateful as always. I know that team, anytime there's an event that is associated with the curriculum instruction department, it's always above par. So congratulations to your team and to the teachers and the students that participated in that. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Dodd?
Yeah, I had a wonderful time judging that. It's got to be one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. Next year, I'm kind of hoping I'll get paired with some better judges. No, just kidding. I'm looking at one who is in the audience there. We had a wonderful time. Wonderful time. I really can't think of more fun experience to get out and actually talk to these kids. And they're so proud when they present their projects, and the teachers are so proud too, and the parents are proud, and they're all going around taking pictures. And anyway, absolutely loved it. And thank you to this board for being so committed, because every single one of us was there, and I think that is just a testament to dedication. So thank you all for being there. Y'all are clapping, but we should be clapping for you all because we know the work that goes into that. We were kind of running through that sequence so quickly about the voting and the allocations thing, but Superintendent, I want to thank you and your staff for just trying to be forward-thinking, that recognizing with ESSER dollars running out and Title I funding reducing, that and we certainly want to know, or we want to be able to take care of our people as well and think about how we can continue to offer competitive salaries, and so getting ahead of that is critical. So thank you for putting forth a plan, and one of the things I know that in the past, any time that these documents are really fluid. I know you've brought forth things over time that says, maybe something's not quite working, let's add back. That's always an option. I know anybody out there in the public who might have watched tonight and goes through that document, maybe gets a little nervous about maybe some reductions here or there. You can rest assured that I know the superintendent and her staff are always looking at that, but also we can talk about the great benefits that Ms. Smith, that you brought forth tonight. So thank you for serving on that and sharing some of those highlights of that plan. And one final thing, I just want to wish my wife a happy 20th anniversary. We celebrate on Wednesday, and she happens to be in the audience tonight. Good timing of that, so happy anniversary.
Mr. Vandenberg?
Couple quick dittos. Mr. Warden team, that A-plus rating's a big, big deal. And to reiterate with what Mr. Mathias said, when they got here, our fund balance was around 3%, and now it's north of 14%. And that takes a lot of hard work and a lot of discipline to get there. So thank you, Mr. Ward, for all that you continue to do. Again, shout out to the Science Fair team. Was there for middle and high day on Tuesday and felt so inadequate against a number of those students. Trying to grade those things and find some constructive feedback on a bunch of them was tough. So kudos to you guys for doing that. I was at an event about a week ago, and the mayor of Mineola pulled me aside to please reiterate to me how much he appreciates Kelly Randall and her team in growth planning. They're going through the attendance boundary issues on Mineola K-8, and just the collaboration Kelly, Helen, and the whole team have given to the city of Mineola. He was so appreciative for, and I want to make sure that was said on the record. So Kelly, thank you as always. Shout out to Carmen and the Ed Foundation. They had a very successful skeet shoot Friday for the Scott Strong Memorial Scholarship Fund. Had the opportunity to participate with Mr. Carr, Mr. Farnsworth, and Mr. Mabry, and those three carried us tremendously. I was not much help, but enjoyed the day and supporting a great cause. And last but certainly not least, I know there's two proud parents in the house, if you could tell by Mr. Dodd's tie. University of Florida admissions results came out the other day, and congratulations, Miss Addison Dodd, on carrying on the UF family tradition. Go Gators as always. Thank you.
I'd just like to make mention of, while certainly we all understand that African Americans' contribution to historical events in our country does exceed far past February. We always find it very nice that there are some things that are celebrated during the month of February. I had the occasion to visit several of the schools for their celebrations. Grassy Lake had a wonderful celebration that I was invited to that included an Olympic medalist who resides here in Lake County, and that was very nice. Tavares Elementary did a very interesting program that included all students, and they brought back an NBA player who is a resident or was a resident and a graduate of Tavares High School. He has a program, and he is going to be in some of our schools. So certainly we appreciate Mr. Flowers and the curriculum department making sure that our schools had an opportunity to do that. So with that said, if there's nothing further, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you.